Welcome to the Celebrate Arkansas podcast. I'm the managing editor, Jocelyn Murphy, and today we are with our editor-in-chief, Justin Frowning, and we are joined by a very longtime partner and friend of Celebrate, Dr. Missy Clifton, with Premier Dermatology, Aesthetics, and Wellness. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, my goodness. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
We are so excited. Like I said, you've been a very longtime partner with Celebrate, and I know that you're a deep friendship.
Yeah,
There we go.
Lots of deep friendships. Yes. Yeah, you guys are my buddies for sure. Yeah, I think I met Wiley and Stephanie. My goodness, they were one of the first people I met when I moved to Northwest Arkansas. So it just immediately became like, well, of course we're going to partner with these guys. So
and that's what they do. They meet people and then they're like, you're along for the journey with us now.
Yeah, and it's been a great journey. You guys are a perfect partner, perfect brand to kind of partner with. You know,
right back at you.
We've kind of grown together a little bit.
It's
actually,
true.
It's been very cool to see what's happened in Northwest Arkansas over the last 20 years.
Right.
Definitely. Well,
makes me feel old, but
we're not going to get into that.
Exactly.
There has been so much growth and change, though, and we have some exciting things to talk about with your business.
Absolutely.
But you said when you first moved to the area, and I know you started Premier in 2004.
Yeah.
So is that around when you moved to the area?
Yep. So I was here in 2003 with a previous, a dermatologist that was previously here. He's no longer in this area. And after a year, it became very apparent that we did not jive well together. He didn't want to do any kind of aesthetic work at all. And that was sort of a big part of what I, envisioned doing.
Yeah.
I was the first female dermatologist in the area at that point. Really, no one was doing very much aesthetics. There were a couple of plastic surgeons that were dabbling in it, but it was just a wide open field. So after a year, he went his way and I went my way, and there came Premier.
Yeah.
And so that started.
There came Premier. And now, as we were just discussing before we started recording, it was Premier Dermatology and Aesthetics.
Right.
But now we've added the wellness. So tell us a little about the expansion, the growth, the new things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, we're all things skin. I've always been such a nerd about trying to bring all the latest and greatest, the newest ideas, the newest technologies to Northwest Arkansas. And, about a year and a half I hit menopause, and that really shook my world up. I'm going to tell you, girl. You're not there yet. Get ready.
I'm
not. I was just kind of shocked that a lot of the treatments and the offerings that are being offered to women, kind of across the country, are not really up to date here in Arkansas. And my daughter has her master's in biochemistry now, and she's a nutrition, guru. And so I've been nerding out with her over her master's, program. I've been reading her papers and learning from my kid. And I just thought, gosh, there's a niche here in Northwest Arkansas that sort of needs to be filled. So I went back and got a extra board certification in anti-aging and integrative health. And now we're offering bioidentical hormone. We're offering weight loss. We're offering lots of metabolic assessments and red light and just lots of things that make you whole body healthy, because you're not going to have the best skin of your life if your body's not healthy. So we're trying to kind of make it more of a holistic approach.
I love that approach.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's, at least with my, I would say, limited knowledge of the industry, maybe a little more knowledge than someone who has no knowledge. I try to have good skincare practices.
Well, you look beautiful, so you're doing something right. You're doing something right.
I do feel like I've noticed that being a big part of how the conversation is changing, though, is specifically, I guess I'm thinking of gut health. Like that seems to be such a buzzword right now. But the increase of awareness about that, I feel like is really increasing education about how your gut affects your skin and how everything's tied together.
Absolutely. Honestly, the gut affects everything. If you don't have a healthy gut, you don't have a healthy brain. Most of the neurotransmitters that are made in your body, like serotonin, are made in your gut. Most people don't realize that. So if your gut's not healthy, your brain's not healthy. We've learned from a weight loss standpoint that GLP-1s have been such a phenomenon. but all the natural GLP-1 that your body makes is made in your GI tract. So if your gut's not healthy, you know, you can't be really metabolically healthy. It really, you're right. That microbiome in your gut leads to health everywhere. So that is a huge part of what we're doing. We actually have a couple of really cool prebiotics and probiotics that we have now at Premier that really help with all of that. So yeah, gut health is a big deal. We've been talking about the microbiome, skin microbiome for a while, but the gut microbiome goes hand in hand with that too. So yeah, we're doing a lot of this wellness stuff. The gut definitely is part of it. You know, a lot of times women's
Just one
hormones,
example.
yeah, hormones. You know, hormones are kind of the same thing too. You know, if your hormones are out of whack, you know, everything else is going to be out of whack. And it was so interesting to me. You know, I've had a gynecologist tell me that, you know, menopause is just normal. Okay, well, normal doesn't mean optimal, right? You know, why should a woman at 50 lose all of her protective hormones that protect her from cardiovascular disease, from neurodegenerative disease, from skin aging, from bone loss? You know, so all of those things lead to overall health, and your skin's going to be right there following along, being healthy too, if we make everything else that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the whole push in all of medicine, hopefully, is to go much more to a preventative approach. I think the traditional approach in medicine and how I was trained is you wait for someone to come in who's sick,
Right.
and you fix their problem. You know, their skin's out, you know, they have maybe psoriasis, say. Okay, well, you wait, you know, until they get psoriasis, and then you start maybe looking at everything else. But maybe that person already had some metabolic dysfunction and that was going along with it, that you could have maybe done something preventatively or preemptively. So that's not the best example, but I think with Alice Walton's School of Medicine coming, awesome. How crazy is it that her, you know, it leads to awesome, because I think it is going to be awesome. You know, I think it's a much more holistic approach to everything. And I think that's how medicine needs to be in our country.
I agree.
And so with Derm, we're trying to follow over at Premier Dermatology, Aesthetics, and Wellness. Yeah.
Amazing.
That's great. I mean, I love the idea of, you know, obviously the things that you're doing at the clinic have their effects, but I'm sure that you're also telling your patients that things they can be proactive about, you know, from a holistic approach too. And I think those kind of things change just the whole way that people have looked at things. Like you were saying, I feel like for the longest time, everything has been addressing symptoms. Oh, you have this symptom. Well, let's see if we can fix that symptom. You have this symptom. But there's never like, what's the underlying cause, or what are the, you know,
maybe all those symptoms are related to one underlying thing that nobody's really looking for. Yeah,
but I think that's, you know, but when you start pursuing, like you're talking about, like with pursuing great skin, okay, well, I can buy this product, or I can do a holistic approach and change the way I act, the way I'm drinking, you know, drinking probiotics, or I've been just doing things to make sure you're taking care of yourself. I've had a similar journey with high blood pressure.
Right.
And the doctor's like, I can give you this pill that will fix it.
Or maybe we look at what's going on.
Like, if you're willing to do the work, would you, if I gave you a regimen of exercise, would you do that?
Exactly.
Yes, I will. And it's changed my whole framework for how I'm approaching life. It's completely changed my life in a positive way, because a doctor took a proactive approach versus a symptomatic approach.
Absolutely. And, you know, that does change everything, because now you're going to eat better. You're going to exercise more. Your blood pressure is going to come down. But you know what? You're also preventing a lot of other bad things. You know, if you kept gaining weight or kept not eating well or whatever, you get diabetes, and then everything else falls apart. So it is interesting, and it's a much better approach than medicine used to be.
Yeah.
It's a much more holistic look at things.
I love that.
And so, yeah, we have launched memberships too over at Premier, which is something we've never done before. We used to just have the open house events twice a year, and that was the way to get discounts and things like this. But now if you join one of the tiers of membership, you get open house pricing, which is usually about 20% off all year long. So that's kind of cool. But at the second and third tiers of the membership, we're actually doing metabolic assessments with PNOE, which is a very, very cool assessment breath test. And you do a resting test and also an exercise test. And it gives you your VO2 max, which tells you your metabolic health, your metabolic age, tells you the foods that your body should be really needing and processing best.
Yeah.
Even on an exercise standpoint, which would be really cool if you're really looking at a new exercise program, it tells you how much cardio should you do? How much weight training should you do? You know, how much interval training should you do?
That's really cool.
And then on the nutrition side, it gives you micros, macros, everything specific for your body. You know, you hear everybody needs to be doing lots more protein than, you know, we're all doing. But is that really what your body needs? Maybe you don't need the 100 grams of protein that somebody else might need in a day. So I think that's really, really cool. And that's just kind of another thing that we're doing, kind of along with the whole hormonal, you know, balance, the whole weight control. And the really cool thing that we're learning about the GLP-1s like Ozempic and Mounjaro is that they're not just for weight loss. You know, it's kind of crazy what we're seeing, some of the things that long-term prevention is really showing in some of these studies. It's crazy. You know, a lot of us think that these drugs just kind of came on the market. These drugs have been on the market for a couple of decades. And the long-term studies actually show that they decrease your risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and things like that, dementia, other types of dementia. They decrease your risk of cardiovascular disease, you know, other metabolic issues, not just diabetes, not just weight loss. So it's really cool because I feel like we're kind of on the forefront of a lot of some of these things. And these assessments are just helping us direct those things for patients.
That's awesome.
We think we may actually see patients, you know, doing these kind of as a, you know, kind of a maybe once a month. I personally am taking Mounjaro once a month now. I lost 20 pounds, you know, on it, doing the regimen the right way, and did that over about 5 or 6 months. And I'm doing it once a month now just for maintenance. And some of the studies are showing that maybe that's something that we should be doing. So it's cool to kind of be on the forefront of it and actually practicing medicine because, you know, there's no real template for some of this stuff right now. But it's, I nerd out, I read, and I listen to podcasts all the time. So constantly trying to learn what's new and bring the latest and greatest to back. The wellness part, we're really excited about it.
I love that. Well, and it's so empowering. Like that's one of the things I like about it is you're giving people a roadmap to be healthier overall.
Exactly.
And those kind of things are, I mean, it's got to feel good to you.
Well, it does. And, you know, I've preached this for a really long time. Like people would come in, they're like, I want to do Botox today. Great. That's, you know, awesome. Or I want to come in and I want to do a laser procedure and just get rid of all muscle damage. That's great. But what I've said for years is, you know, that's kind of a waste of your money. If you're going to go home and you're not going to wash your face at night and you're going to not wear sunscreen, you're going to get out in the sun, you're going to continue to smoke, you're going to do things that are going to make your skin not good, you're really wasting your money doing procedures in the clinic. You really have to do your homework. And this is really the same thing. Just like instead of giving you a pill for high blood pressure, you got to go home and do your homework.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You can take that pill, but it's not going to really fix the problem. So it kind of goes hand in hand with what I've been saying on the surface of things for a long time. It just goes a little deeper.
I feel like I sense a perception, whether or not it's true, of this, a lot of maybe perceived barriers to access. People get really overwhelmed with how much information is out there, and you can try to do some research, but this thing says this, and then you go to a different article or a different book or whatever, different medical professional, and they say something different.
Yep.
And if you don't have the training or the knowledge, it's like, I don't know what to believe. I don't know what I need.
Right.
It's all too overwhelming.
Right.
So I think that can contribute to maybe lack of knowledge. I feel like it has for me, at least.
Oh, absolutely.
It's, you know, like I said, I try to. My skin is aging a little more. You know, I'm in my 30s now, so I'm trying to be like, okay, like we really need to get on top of some preventative stuff. But there's just so much information out there, and it's really overwhelming.
It really is. And I mean, even going to Sephora or even going to the cosmetics aisle in Walmart, it's overwhelming to know what should we do. And that's another approach that we try to really kind of take that barrier away when you come to Premier. We do a skin analysis complimentary for every single patient. You may not know that, whether you're medical or cosmetic, doesn't matter. And that really gives you your skin's kind of roadmap. Is your skin dehydrated? You have trapped bacteria? Are your pores clogged? How much sun damage do you have? How deep is your sun damage? And that then we can really tailor a plan specifically for you, because not every skin, care regimen is going to work for every person. That's why there's a million different ones out there. And people ask me all the time, well, what's your favorite skincare brand? And I'm like, there is no answer, because my favorite skincare brand is usually several different products from several different companies based on the person that is sitting in front of me. So I can't tell you, that you should be using Skin Medica and you should be using Revision or you should be using Elastin. It's really more, what are the skin issues you have and which product from each one of these lines is going to work the best for you. And there is science to it, and we nerd out at Premier on that. My cosmetic coordinators and my estheticians are absolute experts at figuring out that kind of stuff. So that's the cool thing. And then the PNOE, which is this metabolic assessment, we do comprehensive lab work. We look at thyroid, cholesterol, liver function tests. We look at all kinds of things. The VO2 max is telling us about your gut health and all of that as well. And then we're looking at hormones. We're looking at your weight, not just your weight, but your bone mass, your fat mass, your muscle mass, and we're tracking those things. We're also putting people that are who are trying to lose weight rapidly. We're putting them on peptides like Samorelin that help to prevent muscle loss, because that's one of the worst things we see with some of the weight loss drugs. So we do the assessment for the skin, but now we get to do the assessment for the whole body as well. So we're kind of bringing the whole picture together. It's really fun.
That's so exciting for you too, to be, 20 years into your career, or 25, and things are still changing.
Yeah.
You're still adding things to the practice and adding things to your patient interactions.
Yeah. I'm trying really hard. That's what, the really crazy thing about dermatology is it's kind of exploded. And it's become a much more holistic kind of, skin's the biggest organ of your body. So it has become kind of very out there. Dermatologists are in the news a little bit more. And so it's kind of cool. And there's so much new information. It's overwhelming. There's a new laser device every 30 seconds, So my staff gets a little worn out with me because I'm the worst about always wanting to bring the latest and the greatest. And my CFO, she's like, Missy, please don't go to another meeting this time. Please, because you're going to find another laser that you want. And please just don't. Just let us, just save a little money right now. So,
there's nothing wrong with a good nerd out.
It's a problem. We were just talking about my sneakers. There's two things that I will spend quite a bit of money on. Sneakers are one, and laser and skin devices are definitely number two. So, well,
when you're winning consistent national and regional awards, I feel like that's a pretty good indicator that your patients appreciate that you are bringing them the best, and you're going out of your way to continuously stay up to date on the new, not just trends, but as things develop, how that impacts those patients.
Thank you. That means a lot, because I am a consummate nerd. And we do a lot. We do clinical trials now at Premier as well. Clinical Trials Institute of Northwest Arkansas is actually the name of it. But we're actually doing a study on a brand new formulation of a retinol. Retinol's been around forever, but we're actually studying this one that may not cause irritation, may penetrate better. So we're excited about that. We just finished a lip filler study, a brand new filler for lips that's coming to the United States, hopefully going to get FDA clearance soon. So because of a lot of that, and because I am a nerd, because I do a lot of teaching and training, and I go around the country and a lot of talking, we do get those opportunities to bring some of these new cool things to Arkansas. So I keep being a nerd like that.
I love it. I don't think we celebrate nerding out enough as a culture. Because I think the things that you nerd out about are the things that indicates your passion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, you get passionate about things that, that excite you. And you can tell what I'm nerd out about. You can tell what I love at my house, because you look at my walls and there's just art. It looks like a museum.
Right.
Obviously,
the sky's in the
art. But those things, they drive you. And I think that's the more that you learn about those things, the more that you're driven to those things, the more you become an expert in those things. And the more that it inspires you to become better. And I feel like you just incorporate little bits of what you take in from all the different sources. And I think that's what makes us all better as
exactly
humans.
exactly. And it is what drives you is and it's bizarre. People are like, so when are you going to retire? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm 51. I've got lots of time.
Right.
And, I've got lots of nerding out to do. Lots more years of nerding out.
Well, and like I said, there's so much information out there that I'm never going to know everything that I need to know.
No one is.
So I want to go to someone who already knows that information and knows how to help me find what I need and can tell me what to do. Because if I do it myself, that's a whole second job.
I'm with you. And that's why one of the reasons I became a specialist, and one of the reasons I went into dermatology, because I'm like, I don't understand how a primary care doctor, you can't know everything about everything.
Right.
And so that freaks me out because I want to know everything about my little world, my little specialty. And, I can't even learn everything I need to know about dermatology and aesthetics and wellness, but dang sure I'm trying. Keep on working. Keep on trying.
I love that approach.
What other procedures, or not even just the specifics as far as that, even if you want to go higher level of adding on the wellness component, is there anything else we haven't covered that you would like to discuss about bringing that into the practice?
I think we just have tried to make it kind of a whole approach. It's really funny. I have some clients and patients that have been with me since the very beginning, literally. Just yesterday, I saw 3 patients that are in their 90s that, they were in their 70s when I started seeing them. They're like my family members. And they're like, I just wish you could be my doctor for everything. I'm like, oh God, I love you so much. I can't be your doctor for everything. But, with that kind of rapport with patients over time, you really can make an impact. If you're really trying to help those people, have a healthier life, not just have clear skin, no lesions on their skin or no precancers or whatever. But if you're actually helping them with a good diet and making sure they're wearing a sunscreen, I'm actually seeing some of these people have less cancers over time because they're doing more of a holistic approach at home. They're doing more of a preventative approach. So it all does tie together. And I never wanted anyone to say, why is a dermatologist doing all this? So that's the other reason that I went back to get this 3rd board certification, because I just feel like you need to have the credentials, you need to have the education if you're going to talk about it. And I think there's a lot of people that are kind of halfway doing things, without a lot of the knowledge and the science behind them.
Sure.
In the region too. So I never wanted my patients to feel like I didn't know exactly what I'm talking about and that I haven't done the work to make sure that I'm treating them the right way.
Yeah. That's anything procedural, cosmetic, I guess anything related to your body.
Yeah.
I want to, like you said, I want to make sure who I'm going to knows exactly what they're doing, is very educated on it. And how many stories have we heard about, we're talking about cosmetics and aesthetics, and wellness, but we've heard stories of, I guess I'm thinking of the Brazilian butt implants, but also
so
filler,
many bad things.
Yeah.
And, the thing is, a lot of these procedures aren't necessarily bad, but the practitioner is either not educated, doesn't know what they're doing, or they're using products that are not safe, that are not FDA cleared. You heard about the guy that was using basically knockoff Botox and paralyzed a couple of his patients recently. I mean, how in this world is that even possible for that to happen? And then you hear of people injecting, commercial grade silicone into people's bodies. And you're just like, what is happening out here? So, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and you do have to really do your research. And you really have to know is this person that is trying to help me look better or do better really there for your protection as well? Or are they just there to make $1 and never worry about you again? So it's a little bit of a scary world, and there's a bunch of cowboys out there, and cowgirls, not just boys. There's a lot of people that are kind of I've done the weekend training course, so now I'm ready to go.
Exactly.
And we end up correcting a lot of bad filler and bad treatments because there's a lot of people that just don't know what they're doing out there.
Sure. Yeah. Well, and it's not just, I mean, you're talking about faces, bodies. It's not just I know the how to, the X's and O's, but
Right.
you have to be an artist as well. And it's not just.
You really do. And it's really interesting. Nobody's face is like the next one. And honestly, the right side of your face is not the same as the left side of your face. And you have to know those asymmetries and you have to see them. You have to point them out to the person because sometimes if you mess up somebody's natural asymmetries, they don't look right.
Right.
And honestly, asymmetry is kind of a beautiful thing.
It is.
People say the more symmetric you are, the more beautiful you are, but I'm not sure I believe that.
I don't.
I kind of think, I think if you're an artist, I think you appreciate those imperfections in nature that, and come in with a cleft chin. I've seen a lot of people come in with a cleft chin. Half of those people want that cleft filled so bad they can't stand it. The other half, if you fill that cleft, you're going to destroy their personality.
Right.
So it has to be very customized. You have to know the anatomy, but the anatomy changes with every single person. So you have to be very, very cautious and know what you're doing and know how to fix it if any kind of complication happens. Because even the most accomplished providers, complications can happen, but you got to know how to fix it. And and your patients need to know that you're gonna fix it. And I think hopefully that's the mantra that I've built and why I think a lot of my patients trust me and come back to me over 20 years plus is because they know that even if something's not perfect, we're gonna stand behind it. We're gonna make sure it's perfect for them in the long run.
Love that.
We've been talking a lot about the wellness side. On the aesthetic side, I've also I've found the changing conversation around specifically faces and things like filler, lips, Botox, all these buzzwords again.
Right.
Interesting how that conversation is changing too. Because in my adult life, I've watched Kylie Jenner happen and the whole lip thing, and that's already I watched that peak, and now we don't want those kinds of lips anymore.
I'm really glad that phase is over.
I have seen what is this called that the celebrities are getting done? Buccal fat? Am I saying that right?
Buccal
fat.
Buccal.
Okay.
It depends on what part of the country you're from.
Okay.
Really?
But that is something that I had no idea was a thing. And then all of a sudden, all the celebrities are having it done. And now the conversations around filler, used to, oh, that's a dirty word. You don't want people to know that you're having cosmetics, anything done. And now I feel like it's, who do you go to? You look amazing.
It is.
So it's just interesting how things have changed.
You're exactly right. And it's very, very funny. A gentleman whose wife they've both been my patients. I've seen him on the medical side and his wife on both the cosmetic and medical side. And he said, Missy, it's so bizarre over the last 20 years. You used to walk into a restaurant and we would see you, walk in and all of the women would act like they didn't know you 20 years ago, and they were very secretive and no one knew that they had gone to get, a little Botox or a little filler. And now you walk into a restaurant and they're all running over to say hi to you. And then they're all sitting at dinner comparing notes on what they've had done. So aesthetics has become not taboo. And it started with Botox. It's the gateway drug. Is what we call it. It's definitely the gateway drug. There's lots of forms of neuromodulators now. Botox is just, it's like the Kleenex of, of neuromodulators. Everybody says Botox, but you may not be getting Botox. There's Juvederm. There's not Juvederm. There's Jeuveau. There's Daxxify. There's Xeomin. There's Dysport. There's lots of different neuromodulators. There's a brand new one coming from Korea. It's actually the number one neuromodulator in Korea is about to come into the United States and shake things up. There's a million different fillers. Back in the day, there was just collagen, and collagen lasted 2 or 3 months. Now we have fillers that can last up to 2 years. And I think the next generation of things that is really happening is we're going to have biomodulators and stimulators rather than actual fillers. So we've got products coming down the pike now that also stimulate your body to make its own collagen and elastic tissue. And we've had a couple of those on the market, like Sculptra and Radius, for a while. And those are great for this buccal or buccal area where you can actually stimulate your body to rebuild your own collagen and elastic tissue. And I think we're going to see more of those, but we're also seeing true human-derived growth factors being created now. We actually have a product called platelet-derived growth factor that it is truly the growth factor that your body makes, that the scientist was able to take the piece of DNA that is the code for it, put that DNA into yeast cells and propagate this growth factor to billions of copies and then purify the yeast cells away. So you have just nothing but this pure growth factor. And we're injecting that. I have it in my tear troughs right now. We're injecting that rather than filler in some places to actually stimulate and rebuild collagen. So I think the new age of regenerative medicine is going to have a lot of these stimulatory products.
That's really
not just these kind of laboratory created products. So I think it's going to be really cool what we see down the road, and a lot more natural.
Wow.
Because it is your own body making those substances and repairing that.
That's really cool.
That
really
is all
neat
super
stuff.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, stuff I have no cause to know about. So.
Right. Well, I'm trying to stay up on it. I'm trying to stay up on it. So just ask me. I'll try to have the answers for you.
How do you navigate when there is a trend that emerges and people come in and they want it because they're seeing everyone else getting it? I'm thinking specifically of the buccal fat. What I have seen people say about a lot of these younger, specifically women getting that done, is that is fat that you lose naturally as you age anyway. So people are saying these celebrities, a lot of them, but I know it's not just celebrities, it's just the ones we all see,
Right.
getting it done in their 20s. How is their face going to age? So when your clients come to you, or your patients, come to you, and they are talking about these trends and seeing all the celebrity faces, and I want to look like so-and-so, how do you approach what's a trend and maybe, don't go down that road? Or what, okay, yes, let's explore how this works for your body and your face.
Well, I think the key is to really have that person look at themselves. You need to look in the mirror at yourself, and we need to look at what about your face is your concern exactly. Okay, let's forget Demi Moore. Let's forget, Nicole Kidman. Let's forget whoever is doing whatever out there, and let's look directly at you, and let's see what is it that concerns you about your face. Okay, and then we address, how we're going to give you the result you want. It's never quite what we think it's going to be. A lot of times, you'll come in and you'll think, well, this is what I want to do, but then I don't know the repercussions of that. Messing with fat is always a problem, especially in the face. I don't like fat transfers from other parts of the body to the face because they're very unpredictable. One side might take and be perfect. One side might make too much fat. One side might not make enough. So I'm not into things that are unpredictable. Okay, I like to know that the science behind it's going to work every time, and it's going to work this way every time. So I don't think we're there with fat transfer. Taking volume out of a young face, I think, is always a bad idea, because you like you said, you have these beautiful round cheeks. You are, you're in your 30s. You don't have a line on your face.
Thank you.
I'm 51. I want some more of that fat from your face. I wish I still had my 30-year-old fat in my face. So I think, you do have to explain to people, if we do this at 50, you're not going to look as good as you would if we didn't do this. So instead of that, let's do this. Maybe you don't feel maybe you feel your cheeks are too pronounced. Maybe it's because you don't have enough chin projection. Maybe it's because you've really lost jaw definition. Maybe because, you feel like I don't know, maybe you feel like you want to do an eyelid surgery, but maybe you really don't need eyelid surgery. Maybe you just need a little bit of Botox, or maybe you need just a little tightening procedure. So there's a lot of ways to do things that are less aggressive, and I always start with less aggressive first. Because I'm like, let's try this.
Right.
And then if we need to get more aggressive, then let's go to that direction. Because if you go all the way full throttle to a big surgery or a big aggressive procedure, sometimes it's hard to go back.
Right.
And
That's
sometimes
measure twice, cut once.
exactly, exactly. So I really feel like thankfully the trend has come back to more of a less is more approach. We're not looking, we don't want to be completely frozen with neuromodulators. We do want to make facial expressions again, which I think is nice. I like that. We just don't want deep lines and wrinkles being created. And I think the trend to overfill or to have too much lip is calming down. And I think that's great.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping and I'm feeling like the trend is going much more to a more natural approach, but also what is healthy? Is my skin healthy more than does my skin look good? You know, maybe people are coming in with lines and wrinkles and they're coming in with brown spots and that's what bothers them, but also that's a sign that they're going to have skin cancer down the road. So instead of just doing a procedure that might mask that discoloration or might minimize the wrinkle, how about let's do a treatment that's actually going to get rid of some of the sun damage? And once we get rid of that, that's going to make the skin look healthier. That's going to minimize the wrinkles and lines. And that's going to keep you from having to do as much Botox or as much filler. So I try to err on the side of what's preventative, what's going to be, you know, the least aggressive way to start, what's going to be most natural. Those are kind of my first three approaches. And that usually works for everybody. And it's usually more of a baby steps than do 14 things at once.
Sure.
So, but that's another thing. We try to make it holistic.
Yeah.
You know, what looks great, what looks natural, what's going to prevent or give you the best results down the road, and also what's going to keep you from having problems with your skin that could cause you to have a big, you know, lesion removed or something really disfiguring happening.
I think that's great. Well, and you know, we're in the business of telling people stories, and when we put out these magazines, it's filled with photos, and I photograph a lot of people, and almost no one enjoys having their photo made, and everyone is their own worst critic.
Oh,
so
for sure.
One of the hardest things that I experience is, you know, I'll photograph someone, I'm like, that looks fantastic, you look incredible, and then I'll show them in the camera, like, oh, I look, you know, like you look great, like what is that like for you? Like, my job is I want people to look and feel great in their stories, but you're doing that with their whole lives. And, you know, when they come to you with, I don't like this thing about me, but it's something that's actually not bad.
Right. So, I always say to people, you know what? You are definitely your own worst critic.
Right.
Because I always try to make that person see their really most beautiful features. Okay. So someone may come in and they may really just be down on themselves and they hate this and they hate that. But I'll say, oh my God, but you have these gorgeous blue eyes. Let's really accentuate that because that's really what I see when I see you. And so I think if you can give that person that one thing that you see that is so beautiful about them and help them accentuate that and then help them get rid of, you know, or minimize the things that really tear them down, then it's incredible to see. And that's one of the reasons I love my job so much.
Yeah.
Is because people come in and I think they look beautiful. You know, I see a little issue here, a little issue there, but they see.
Right. Kitchen sink.
I'm not fixable, or I hate the way I look. And I'll ask someone sometimes, what bothers you? And they'll say everything. And so at that point, you just have to start saying, look, these are the things that are great.
Right.
These are the things that we see that we can, you know, we can fix or we can minimize or we can get rid of or we can, you know, help you decrease that appearance. And then they come back and to see that joy and that confidence. You know, sometimes when people first come to talk to me, they won't even make eye contact with me because they just feel so bad about themselves. And then to see that transformation and to see those people walk in, you know, maybe a little bit head held a little bit higher, cute little outfit on or feeling good about themselves. That's the real joy of what I get to do every day.
That's awesome.
It's good stuff.
And that's the impact that it's making too, right? Because I don't think it's a secret that there are some very pronounced feelings about the cosmetic industry. People can, you know, a lot of people will be like, oh, well, you know, they should just let people should just not they, you guys.
People should just age naturally.
People should just age naturally, and like we shouldn't villainize aging. And like that's not what you're doing. That's
Not
not
at
at all.
Not at all.
Like we've been talking about a lot of wellness and science-based things, but also it's people's perception of themselves.
Absolutely. And, I don't think the goal for 90% of the people that come into me is not to look like they're 20, or to, try to take a 50-year-old back to 30. What we're trying to do, every person in my mind, my goal for them is to be the best version of yourself at your age. And, heck yeah, we want you to look your absolute best. But I'm not trying to, make you look like you did when you were 18. I'm just trying to make sure that your skin is healthy and that you're going into your future years, hopefully having a wonderful health span, not necessarily lifespan. My goal is for not to live to 100 and be in a wheelchair and be riddled with skin cancers and lesions. My goal is for you to live to maybe 90 and still be, out there traveling and going out to nice dinners and going out to the theater and feeling great and looking great and having healthy skin and having, a good quality of life. I think everybody's goal at this point should be not to live longer, but to live healthier and to live better, and looking good and looking your best into those later years. No shame in that. And I think you do better when you look better. You feel better about yourself. When I feel better at work, I do better. I more confident. I feel like I interact better with my patients and my clients. So, I think getting up and getting dressed and making yourself feel pretty good and feeling like you look good when you walk out the door, that translates to the rest of your life. I don't think it's vanity. I think it is fundamentally you see yourself, and that is how you view yourself. And that's how you then portray yourself to the world. So my goal is just to make people feel their absolute best when they wake up in the morning and continue to be healthy and hopefully get to do it for a long time.
Love that. Well, and that holistic approach that you were talking about, I think that's one of the things that does that. It's the thing that feeds itself.
Right.
You're going to look your best when you are actually healthy.
Exactly.
And so when you're putting people on a journey towards, being proactive with their health and everything else, it definitely feeds.
It all plays into a big circle, for sure.
I love that.
And so Premier was started 2004, over 20 years ago.
Over 20 years ago.
But now you have offices in Bentonville, Bella Vista, and Fayetteville.
That's correct. Yes.
And more than 100 employees.
More than 100. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
So that's where the growth has come to. Well, just a very small part of everything else we've been discussing.
Yes. So, the medical side has grown along with the cosmetic side. We do all work really well together. And it is the whole approach. I never want someone to come in to the aesthetic side and us not do a skin check on them. The last thing I want is for someone to come in with Botox and them end up having a melanoma on their foot that we missed. So we don't like, I personally don't like for the patients to be not a patient of both sides, of the clinic, because I think it's so important. And I think that, even on the medical side, that preventative, that homework, that are you doing a sunscreen, everybody should walk out of there, knowing that they should be using a sunscreen. Are they taking care of their skin? We want to have the right products for acne patients, for psoriasis patients, for eczema patients. So, it's not just a beauty thing that we're doing on the aesthetic side. It's also a skin health thing that supports both sides of the practice.
What can guests and clients look forward to or be expecting, be watching for from Premier in 2025?
Well, we're talking about Thrive in 2025. So we're going to be talking all things wellness. We're going to be continuing to talk about these metabolic assessments. We're going to continue to be talking about a lot of the anti-aging things that we're bringing to Premier. There's even a supplement that we are offering now that increases the length of your telomere. And the telomere is the end of your DNA that frays with time and is what causes your cells to die.
Wow.
So if you can actually take this supplement that turns on telomerase and lengthens your telomeres.
Wow.
So
Sounds too good to be true.
I know,
though. It
I
sounds
know.
like Frankenstein.
I know, it's crazy. But we have a lot of amazing and really cool things that we're trying to really be on the forefront of. So we're going to be talking about it on my podcast as well as your podcast. So tune into All Things Skin too. Shameless plug for
Yes,
that
please.
one.
No,
as well.
not shameless. I was going to ask you, like, where can people find your podcast and keep up with you?
It's All Things Skin on any podcast platform you can find us. And yeah, we're going to be doing lots of lunch and learns. We're going to definitely be doing our open house in the spring and the fall. And yeah, we're going to be talking about all the good stuff. And there's a couple of really exciting new devices coming out in women's health that are going to be pretty incredible for people with any kind of vaginal issue. Certainly if they're having incontinence issues, if they're having pain with sex and things like that, which is a lot of my menopausal ladies. There's going to be a couple of new wonderful devices that are going to really give you long-term correction and relief from some of those issues as well. So that's coming to Premier soon.
There's always new and
Always something new.
and more and new. Yeah.
Always
Wow.
something new. And we're always upgrading too. A lot of times it's not that we're buying a brand new laser. It's just that we're upgrading the device because there's new technology and better, a little bit better, maybe a little less painful, maybe a little faster, maybe covers a little larger area.
Yeah.
So we're upgrading all of our devices all the time, but yeah, always looking for something new too.
You can also find some shorter snippets of some of those educational pieces as well in Celebrate Often with your Skin Deep column.
Yes, it's ours.
Yeah.
It's yours and mine and everyone that reads it.
effort.
It's for everyone.
Effort.
Yeah, and I love those little pieces because they're just enough to kind of give you an idea of what's going on, and then come in for those complimentary consultations. Every consultation's complimentary.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Every time we get one, I'm like, oh, what device or procedure are we talking
What new
about
toy
now?
does Missy buy now? What did she get now?
Well, Missy, thank you so much for joining us, but
pleasure.
also for your, again, longtime friendship and partnership.
Right
And
back
we
at
are
you
so excited to celebrate Premier and all of your successes and continued growth as well.
Well, you guys are the best. Thanks for all your partnership.
We appreciate you.
For years to come. Hope it'll continue.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Missy.